Hello everybody, Larson here with a video that will, if nothing else, be my lasting legacy in the field of linguistics and etymology. In my writing and videos and live streams, you've probably heard me use the term Brappy fairly frequently. It is a neologism of my own invention. But up until now, I don't think I've given a clear and concise definition of what this term means exactly. I vaguely alluded to what it means, and you could probably figure it out if you consistently listen to my work, and you all should be listening to my work consistently. But I still think that finally and explicitly explaining what the term means is something I ought to be doing. More importantly, as society declines and we increasingly give ground to the hordes of Brappies, I think giving a name to them is very useful in the superior wharf sense. To conceptualize and understand your enemy, you must first name and categorize him. So, what is a Brappy? To explain what the Brappy is, we should first start by explaining what it is not. A Brappy is not a person of any one particular race, ethnicity, class, sexuality, gender, or creed. Anybody of any group or demographic can be a Brappy. As I describe the characteristics, cultural lifeways, and state of Brapdom, you'll probably come to the inevitable conclusion that they are, shall we say, coded as non-Asian minority lumpen prole man. And, yeah, kind of. But again, I stress it is a cultural thing. There are plenty of white people who are Brappies, and plenty of non-white people who are productive and positive members of society. And so we can finally stop dancing around the issue and get to the driving question. What is a Brappy? If I had to sum it up in 4 words, it would be something along the lines of feral, unemployable, violent retard. But if you want more specifics, the voice, vocalizations. This is the main reason why I call them this. A Brappy is the sort of person who is endlessly entertained by making mouth noises and screaming at the top of their lungs, literally making bleh bleh noises at 2 in the morning. Have you ever been woken up by some dipshit going, busy, in the wee small hours of the morning? That is a Brappy. And when these cretins do manage to string some words together, they have absolutely atrocious accents. Accents of a recent development. I call them urban tard accents. It's something far worse than any given accent associated with any particular city. It's a whole new thing. Some of my Anglo friends and Canadian friends tell me about multicultural London English or the Torontonian equivalent. I don't know if any linguists have named the specifically American variant. I guess we can call it MAE, Multicultural American English. AAVE does not really apply anymore since shitty people of all races talk this way. And to be quite honest, I've never met a single person with this kind of accent who wasn't just an irredeemable sack of shit. If you happen to speak this way, then quite frankly, I'm surprised you are capable of using a computer. Kidding, but if you do speak this way, it's probably too late for you to be redeemed. Nonetheless, you should try. But I digress. More than just the way they speak, the Brappy fears and despises quiet. The thought of sitting quietly and not bothering somebody is abhorrent to the Brappy, probably because peace and quiet reminds them of the howling abyss of nothingness that is their inner monologue. So they have to fill the void of quiet with literally anything. Preferably shitty music and short-form media slop content blasted as loud as humanly possible, but if not, loud conversations across the room or the aforementioned yelling of random vowel sounds will suffice. The Brappy is proudly and defiantly stupid, recalcitrant, and ignorant. Obviously, I'm not judging people just for being kinda dumb, and nobody chooses that. Nobody wants to be the kind of person who doesn't understand what would happen if they didn't eat breakfast, if you know what I mean. But you know, you do choose to go through life not exposing yourself to anything beyond TikTok, brain rot, and pornography. You do choose to demean and disparage anybody who doesn't want to be dragged kicking and screaming back into a new dark age. You do choose to spend your days milling about and blankly staring at nothing in particular instead of getting a job or doing something useful with your time. You do choose to scream invective and profanity at people across the street for literally no reason at all. And if you do manage to get a job, the Brappy chooses to not do the work and spends their days stealing from the till and being a surly, miserable prick who doesn't do what they're supposed to do. That's why I specify unemployable, even in the most basic minimum wage job. For the janitor, garbage man, stock boy, or other menial jobs are vital and necessary workers in a functioning society, and they should be treated with respect. The Brappy, on the other hand, doesn't even have the disposition to do that kind of work. Bleh, bleh, man, do your shit. This very much relates to the third tenet of Brapdom. Raw, seething, animalistic hatred of anything that is beautiful, innocent, good, or well-made. In my own work, you'll occasionally see me use terms like orc or goblin interchangeably with Brappy. That fits because much like Tolkien's Forces of Darkness, Brappies are beings of pure malice and evil who despise anything that reminds them of what lowly creatures they are. Perhaps you've read stories about malls and grocery stores blasting classical music to keep away the undesirables. That is an example of Brapdom being defeated. Obviously, I'm not saying everybody has to like classical music. I do, but not everybody does, and that's okay. But even if you don't like classical music, I'm sure that most people are capable of keeping it to themselves and going about their day, being able to comport themselves with some modicum of human dignity as they go to the public place and leave without causing a scene. If you or I go to a public place and we hear music we don't like, we suck it up, we keep it to ourselves, and we do what we have to do until we get out of the location. Not the Brappy, though. The Brappy has a violent and hateful reaction to classical music on principle. Seriously, I've seen this happen. They hear a symphony and their faces become masks of pure fury and disgust. Turn that shit off, Brappy! Before they either violently assault somebody or run screaming out of the premises. Classical music was made by brilliant men and women, the apotheosis of music as an art form, and its mere existence is an affront to the Brappy orc who has no concept of music beyond the absolute lowest mumble rap slop or TikTok meme music. This hatred of all things in the world that are good and nice and beautiful characterizes the Brappy. They hate and resent the contents of art museums and public works. The concept of books and reading infuriates them. They urinate in and upon public places. They litter and befoul public parks and nature. They torture and abuse and kill animals for no good reason. Animals that, to be quite honest, I'd consider to be more sentient people than some people I've known. The Brappy peels the bark off of trees for no reason whatsoever. Everywhere they go, they are an absolute blight upon nature itself. Violence and abuse and degradation is their only response to the world that offends them so. This ties into number 3. They react with senseless violence when something disrespects and offends them. They kill puppies and baby birds. They destroy formerly nice public places. They scream invective and assault and murder innocent passersby. The sexual assault of innocent girls, women, animals, and any orifice they can stick their grody, malformed penises into. Look at the way screaming retards destroy delivery robots and drones and hitchhiking robot projects. The violence committed upon random people just minding their own business for the fun of it. And it just goes on and on and on. As the Chinese mind foreman said, it's all so tiresome. Smarter men than me have put it best. In the USA, increasingly around the world, our lives are ruled by the bottom 20%. Laws exist to control the bottom quintile. We live in fear of the bottom quintile. We choose where to live to avoid the bottom quintile. They extract taxes from us to prop up the bottom quintile, etc. All this dialogue you've seen recently about walkable cities in the US ignores the very, very big elephant in the room. It's not like Americans just inherently hate the idea of having nice downtown promenades and town centers. We can't have them because of Brappy bullshit. And the good, civilized people outside of America are starting to realize why this is, because it's starting to happen to them as well. I'm going to assume that the majority of people watching this have dealt with Brappies at some point in their life. I've dealt with these orcs far too often. I've had my life threatened multiple times by screaming Brappies in classrooms and bus stations and streets. I've literally had to protect women from Brappies, who would a week later shove other people in front of subway trains. Brappies are not just homeless people or transients or anything. They are a distinct class of feral mongoloids who are a severe problem to be dealt with. So what can we do about the Brappies? Kidding. I mean, I'd love to do that, and that would be the fastest way to get things done. But no, we can't do that because it's like immoral and violates human rights or something. I mean, I would argue that it's a violation of human rights to allow the stupidest and most violent people in society to rule the streets and assault people with impunity. And yes, the Brappies do have impunity. How many times do I have to read about some violent retard killed somebody but got off because he's too stupid to go to trial? But no, we have to show clemency to the heathen. Let's face facts. The Brappy knows no shame, no guilt, no concept of a social contract. They're basically the human equivalent of feral dogs. Punishment and retribution must be immediate if you have any hope of training them at all. So, seriously, what would I do? I would deal with the worst of the worst Brappies by literally blasting classical music and opera music on boomboxes, inciting them to feral violence, and then killing them in self-defense. Obviously, if they don't attack, you don't kill them. Point being that the truly irredeemable Brappy will attack you upon hearing symphonic music. As for the rest of the Brappies, the salvageable ones can be put into homeless shelters, and by put, I mean forced into. Yes, that's what they do in the magical land of Europe, by the way. They forcibly detox them, we could teach them a useful trade or skill, and we can allow them to reintegrate into polite society provided that they cut the shit out. The rest of them, I don't know. Two good endings here are either Brappies being rehabilitated and becoming productive members of society, or being put down like the feral dogs they are. The Brappies removed from society either way, so I guess they'll just vacillate between the two extremes. Essentially give the Brappy endless chances to rehabilitate himself until he either does so, or assaults somebody and gets executed. Either way, it's a great success. I'm Larson Halleck, and thank you for listening. And now, a word from our sponsors. Hello, are you a fan of Larson Halleck and the Barbaric Gentleman? Of course you are, otherwise you wouldn't be watching. Would you like to help the channel grow? Would you like to help me out? If so, here's how you can. You can go to patreon.com/LarsonHalleck and join the ranks of these illustrious heroes. You can also go to www.paypal.me/LarsonHalleck to also donate some money. You can also buy my book. The Patreon, the PayPal, and the link to my book are all found in the video description. You can also follow me on Twitter or on Instagram. I no longer advertise my Gab because Gab sucks. Otherwise, enjoy, keep watching the videos, and spread the word.